Welcome to the very first episode of the Clean Industry Podcast. Here we explore the technologies and innovations that shape the future of industrial decarbonization. Whether you're in the industry, a policymaker, an investor, or just curious about clean energy, technology, and the future of clean industrial processes, you are in the right place. My name is Sonja. I'm your host. This podcast is brought to you by Hycamite, a company that produces clean hydrogen and solid carbon by splitting methane. We're starting off easy with a special series called Hydrogen 101. In this series, we are going to break down the fundamentals of hydrogen. What it is, how it's produced, where it's used, and why it matters. We're also going to address some of the most common misconceptions and discuss the best ways to build a hydrogen economy that supports the clean transition. My co-host, Matti Malkamäki, is an expert in the hydrogen industry with over 20 years of experience, and he will help us navigate today's topic. What is hydrogen? So let's get started. Matti, welcome to the Clean Industry Podcast
Thank you.
Hydrogen 101.
Thank you.
Are you ready?
I'm always ready.
Great. So as mentioned, today we are going to keep this simple. This is the foundation, and in later episodes, we'll dive into production, applications, and more. So whether you're new to the topic or an expert, we're sure that you will find this interesting. And then to you, Matti. On a scale from 1 to 10, how would you rate your teaching skills?
Teaching skills. I would give myself a modest 6 or 7, perhaps.
Okay.
So I don't really think that I'm like a good teacher. Mm-hmm. I can explain things and I can say that why they are like what they are, and I think that I can, also give like the reasoning for it and so forth.
Yeah.
But relating to teaching, that is like you need to make the people to understand and create something, and then you need to follow it up and so forth. I'm not the teacher. I think that I can be like an opinion maker or something like that one. I can present things and I can do that kind of stuff. But really, I value teachers a lot. And if somebody would say to me that, okay, come here and be the teacher, I don't think that I could be able to do that. I mean, very well. I can, go and give a presentation. Mm-hmm. It's not about that one. I can, be like giving an expert opinion or something, but really teaching somebody, I don't think so.
Okay. So then this is going to be a challenge for you, and I think our listeners can then give you a number as well. So you said a 6.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. So my first actual question is, how would you explain hydrogen to a child?
Hydrogen to a child? You're not making this easy, are you?
So I'm making it really easy.
Yeah, well,
just not for you.
I should be. Yeah, you're right. So I think that for a child, I would perhaps start it from somewhere that you show that what hydrogen can do and how you can make it. So that I remember when my son was younger, we got from one of the seminars, I don't remember it anymore, but it was somewhere in Germany. We got this kit that you were able to make from distilled water. You were able to make, a little bit like green hydrogen. And then you had a small car, very cheap RC car that was working with that bottle of hydrogen. And perhaps that way, so that the kids can see that actually you can create something from water, so that you can teach that, okay, water actually is the end product of hydrogen, being burned, so that you can go back and you can make the hydrogen from there, and then with that one you can electrify something.
Okay.
Because hydrogen is something that you cannot see or really smell and so forth. So it's not very concrete. You are like saying that it's a little bit like air or something like that. No, it doesn't work. I think that's how I would start this kind of teaching.
I think that sounds really an interesting way to teach about that topic. What year was this when you bought this kit and the car?
I didn't buy it. I was given it. I was making a presentation in a seminar about hydrogen and clean energy and so forth. And that was, I don't know, 2015 perhaps, something like that. Perhaps earlier 13 or so. I don't remember any. I mean, about 10 years ago, a bit more than 10 years ago.
So it was like a teeny tiny electrolyzer?
Yeah, it was a teeny tiny electrolyzer. The car was something like, 25 centimeters, 10 inches long and so forth. It was a toy, first of all, but it was something that the organizers gave to all the presenters and panelists in that seminar. So I think it was a nice thing.
Okay. So if that's how you would explain it to a child, you would show how you can make hydrogen. Is there anything else that you would like to add if I ask you what hydrogen is?
Yeah, well, now we come to the adults world. I mean, the professional world and so forth. So what hydrogen is, I would perhaps nowadays start it so that because everybody following this podcast and so forth, they are already familiar to hydrogen, and they have seen perhaps news and they have come to our website and so forth and seen that there's hydrogen possibilities. I would actually start the whole discussion from different point of view. So I would really talk about hydrogen as a means of decarbonization, not like a media itself. Because hydrogen nowadays, I think that it is a little bit misunderstood. So that in the policy making and in the news and so forth, you can see that hydrogen is being regarded a little bit like an end product.
Yeah.
That we are seeing we can make hydrogen. Yes, yippee. But that's not an end product. It's a start, and it's a means of decarbonizing industry, and that's how I think that actually the hydrogen society or the ecosystem that what we have, we should also start thinking more about hydrogen in that way. That it's an essential thing, essential part of a new clean tech or new clean industry, if you will.
So you're starting with this industrial viewpoint.
Correct.
That hydrogen is something to help in the clean transition.
Correct.
Could you tell a bit more about that? How does it help?
Well, let's take an easy, like a very easy example. So that power generation. So you can make power and heat with engines or gas turbines and so forth. In bigger plants like where you have steam boilers and so forth, you can use coal.
Yeah.
And that produces a lot of CO2 emissions per megawatt hours of produced energy because of two reasons. Practically, the coal as such, when you burn it, it produces a lot of CO2. And secondly, because of the energy efficiency of that power plant is lower than what you have with the gas engine plants or combined cycle gas turbine plants. So in order to deduct the number, i.e. the carbon footprint of any megawatt hour produced, you need to go for two streams. So first of all, you need to make the whole power plant more efficient. That means less fuel burned. And secondly, you need to make your fuel as climate friendly as possible.
Yeah.
And when you're coming from coal, you go to diesel fuels, you go to natural gas, and then finally you can come to the hydrogen. And the hydrogen obviously has no CO2 emissions because it's just water that what you have in the burning. But this is the way that how you can decarbonize the power generation. Of course, you can add renewable powers and so forth. But the thing is that every renewable power plant like wind or solar, they need this additional peaking power plant so that will help or generate the power when there's no wind or no sunlight. So therefore, you need to have this kind of a supplemental energy systems. And if you can do those with fuels that don't produce any CO2 emissions or little, I mean, you can use like a blend of natural gas and hydrogen to begin with, then that is way to decarbonize the power generation. The same kind of similar processes you have, for example, when you are making fertilizers. So now the hydrogen is being produced because that's like a raw material in that process. So that is being produced with a steam methane reforming plants or something like that one, and those produce a lot of CO2. Now you need to go to have new technologies to replace the SMR, so that you can have technologies like, for example, Hycamite is developing so that we can have the turquoise or you can have the green and so forth. But there actually it is the number that how low can your carbon footprint be.
Yeah.
And this is how hydrogen can help decarbonizing the industry.
So we've talked a little bit about hydrogen's role in decarbonizing industry. If we go back to hydrogen as an element, I have read that hydrogen is the most abundant element in the universe.
Correct.
I'm going back to the kids level and the teaching part. Can you explain that? Why is that?
Well, space. so space and you know, the solar system, suns, the stars, they are full of hydrogen. There's a lot of hydrogen in them, and therefore hydrogen is really like the energy source of everything.
Yeah.
And that is the, I mean, you have that hydrogen there, but it is unfortunately not something that we can easily grab. I mean, of course, we can grab it as a, you know, solar power on Earth and so forth, but that's really like what you're getting out of that hydrogen that you know is reacting in the sun. But when you come here on Earth and you see that what kind of hydrogen and where we have hydrogen in here, then you have a lot of hydrogen, of course, in water, because water is hydrogen and oxygen, so that it is like the end product of hydrogen burning.
Yeah.
So practically all the seas and bottom water, you know, everything has hydrogen in it. You also can find so-called white hydrogen in some of the base rock foundations, so that there's some recent findings that okay, we can actually get some hydrogen down from the Earth, but those are relatively small and relatively difficult to catch when you compare to hydrogen that what you can, you know, then create with different kind of methods, for example, from methane or something like that one. But of course, I mean, hydrogen is a new thing, and we are learning all the time more and more about that, how much and from where we can get it. And for example, the base rock hydrogen, so that what you can have from the the Earth core.
That's called white hydrogen, right?
White hydrogen, yes.
Yeah.
That is something that we didn't know too much like 10 years ago or 20 years ago. So it is actually quite recent finding that what we have there, and I think that we are still learning that okay, where and in which way we can, you know, harvest that one and so forth.
You mentioned there when you were talking about white hydrogen, you mentioned that it is difficult to catch. Is hydrogen in general difficult to capture? Does it always have to be made from something else?
Well, as an element, hydrogen and hydrogen molecules are very light, and it's the smallest molecule that what we have, smallest atom as well as what we have, and that makes it very difficult to you know use like what we are using the other media. For example, if you compare the natural gas to hydrogen, then hydrogen escapes from piping systems a lot easier than the natural gas does. And you need to have, for example, if you want to pressurize the hydrogen, then the methods that you need to have there are completely different, or well, you can't use the same compressors that what you are using for natural gas, for example. So therefore, it is actually, how to say, somewhat more demanding to be operated with. But mankind has been using hydrogen for a long time. And now we know that, okay, in the industry it can be used safely and we can compress it and we really can operate with it. We just need to, use the processes and everything that the hydrogen actually requires. It is not something like that. It would be very, very, very difficult to use more of it, but we just need to be aware that how we are using it.
And safety is a topic that often comes to speak when we're talking about hydrogen.
Correct.
What would you say to someone who would tell you that hydrogen is too dangerous to use?
Well, kitchen knife is dangerous if you use it the wrong way.
Yeah.
So the thing is that everything that industry uses, the processes that we have when we are producing different kind of products to us, they can be different. Risks for health and safety and so forth if you use them, incorrectly or the improper way. And hydrogen just requires a little bit more understanding than the others do, but it still can be used very, very, very safely. And I don't even remember, for example, in Finland, that when has been the last time when someone has been really hurt by hydrogen, incident or something like that one. So and still we are using it quite a lot. So that is something that you can see that, okay, in industry you can teach the people and educate them so that they can work with the hydrogen safely and so forth. But on the other hand, I would never ever recommend that, okay, we start using hydrogen in households.
Yeah.
Where you have kitchen appliances and so forth, where you can have even kids using them and so forth.
And still you had that electrolyzer and the car for your own child.
The amount of hydrogen was that much. So yeah, that's true. But you caught me on that one. But I think that in kitchen appliances and so forth, that would be different. Or for the heating systems and so forth, because you need to ensure that the people that are not working in the industry and don't get the education and training that what we can provide to the industrial, workers and the stuff that what we have here, it is unrealistic to think that, okay, on a layman's terms, that somebody, just not coming from the industry would know that how to behave with hydrogen.
Yeah, so you see it more as a means for industrial decarbonization, but not really something to be used in households. What about transportation?
Transportation, in some cases, yes. But honestly speaking, the battery technology is developing so quickly that I see electrification being a lot more, or giving a lot more results there. Of course, the problem is that when you go to countries like, say, USA or Germany, where you have a lot of cars, on the street, so that on autobahns, when you have cars and you don't have really like the charging infrastructure for that one, fast chargers and so forth, then you need to start creating that one. But I think that also in those cases, perhaps the better way would be that, okay, we will have, electrified cars, or we will have cars that are using, synthetic fuels or something like that one. And then hydrogen can play a role for bringing that power for electrifying or charging the batteries of those cars.
Okay, yeah, I see. You mentioned that hydrogen has already been used in the industry for a long time.
Correct.
And but there seems to be a hype around it right now with the clean transition. What are some uses for hydrogen that already exist?
Hydrogen has been used, for example, in the oil and gas industry, so that most of the oil refineries, they have hydrogen units so that they are, when you're cracking the longer hydrocarbon chains to shorter ones, then you need to add some hydrogen in there. And that way you can, produce the fuels that what we are using nowadays. Then also I think that the biggest use of hydrogen at the moment is in fertilizers. So you have ammonia, for example, that is being produced in NH3, so it has a lot of hydrogen in it, and that is really critical for agricultural and so forth. Then we have hydrogen peroxide that is being used in quite a few things, so that when you are widening the paper and so forth, so that is where you have hydrogen, so that when you open a newspaper that is printed on white paper, or when you have tissue paper at home, hydrogen peroxide has been used there, and therefore hydrogen has been used there.
Yeah.
You don't always think about it, but it's actually...
So maybe in your hair, if you have blonde highlights,
yeah,
or if you whiten your teeth.
The amount that you use hydrogen peroxide there is pretty small, but anyway.
Okay. Are there any other everyday uses for hydrogen that people might not realize?
Well, it's actually interesting, so that if you have a look at where, for example, the hydrogen peroxide has been used, you would be amazed so that in how many different kind of products you have a little bit of hydrogen peroxide there. And it goes from everything from electronics to, tissue paper practically, so toothpastes and so forth. So you have that kind of chemicals quite often being used, and you don't know that, okay, hydrogen is playing a role there.
Well, interesting. So it could definitely have a bigger role in the industry as well, and the fears that people may have around it and around the safety would be something that can definitely be worked with and addressed and tackled so that it would work well in industry.
Yeah, I mean, amazing. So that when you go to a grocery shop and you buy some food that is being, grown on the fields, potatoes, carrots, whatever, and if any bit of fertilizing has been used for growing those things, hydrogen has been there behind. So that is so common, but it is just playing, its very important role on the background. You don't see it as a consumer, but it is there.
Yeah, thank you for explaining to us what hydrogen is. I have a recap here at the end to put it really simple, going back to the kids level again. So just to pull everything together, hydrogen is the simplest and most abundant element in the universe. Each hydrogen atom has just one proton and one electron, which makes it light and reactive.
Correct.
So the lightness is that it can escape, right? And the reactiveness is that what we associate with safety issues.
Yes. For example, when you burn hydrogen, the speed of the flame is about 10 times quicker than you have, for example, with a natural gas. So it's that reactive.
On Earth, you would most often find hydrogen combined with other elements, such as water or methane. And while hydrogen is all around us, pure hydrogen gas doesn't really exist in nature.
Very little.
So the white hydrogen that you mentioned earlier. So if the industry needs it, we would always have to produce it. So usually it would be by splitting it from water or from natural gas. And hydrogen is important because it can be used as a clean energy carrier. And when it's used as a fuel, it doesn't release carbon dioxide compared to what you mentioned earlier about burning coal, for example. So when you burn hydrogen, you just have water vapor. And that is what makes it an important part of the clean transition.
Correct.
Great. Good. I think we all learned something. Are you curious about what we're going to talk about next time?
Of course.
Next time, we are going to talk about how hydrogen is produced. We already touched a little bit on that subject today. But when I first started here at Hycamite, I was really surprised by how many different production methods there are and how different these methods are from each other as well. You can't really, some of these production methods, you can't even compare them on the same day. And then I've also been surprised by how hydrogen production is portrayed in both mainstream media, but also within the hydrogen industry itself. And I think that we have some misconceptions there that we can address next time. And that's something that you as a listener won't want to miss. Thank you, Matti, for being my co-host today. And thanks to everyone for listening to the Clean Industry Podcast and Hydrogen 101. This podcast was brought to you by Hycomite. See you next time.